So AH has decided to go after anyone that supports Johnny Depp, myself I'm sure included, by filing 2 subpoenas asking for information regarding well over 200 different Twitter screen names. And the way that she's going about this is infuriating to the degree that it sets my teeth on edge, because the people that she's going after, well, you folks are my people. When I say information over 200 different screen names, I'm talking about deep diving information, asking for IP addresses from which the account is registered, asking for any and all IP addresses from which the account logged in, and on and on and on. So what I'm going to do today is simple yet effective. Number 1, I'm going to review the documentation that they bring up. Number 2, I'm going to take this stuff apart to showcase that it should never, ever be given to another person, because this stuff, it has no grounds to stand on, and I hope someone like Adam Waldman representing Johnny Depp sees this. And I'll note this to AH or any of their representatives: if you think something like this is going to work against folks like myself, well, you have misjudged to the point that you don't know us at all. So hey there. Now I wish I could say that this stuff, it surprises me, but frankly, I've seen this before. I've seen comic book pros pull this. I've seen voice actors do it and on. Not to this level, but still, I've seen this kind of behavior. This stuff, it's meant to silence. In fact, if you go back and you review counterclaims statements, which we will do in order to take this apart, this was something that I was saying. This person, they had a plan when they named people, and that plan, again, is to stifle opposition and to make you afraid that there could be some real-world basis in which you could pay for supporting someone against these types of claims. And of course, the person doing this, they're going to be called the quote-unquote good guy or quote-unquote aggrieved party by the media, because going out and attacking people wholesale, hey, that's just par for the course, right? So it was filed with the Superior Court of California County of Los Angeles on 09/30/2020, and you can see that this document here, it's a request for informal discovery conference. Now you can see the dates on here. The deadline for the court to decide on this request is October 12th, 2020, and the deadline for the court to hold informal discovery conference, that's October 20th, 2020. And I want to make a point with this too, because a lot of people have never experienced this. This is the byproduct of media or certain people calling you an ist, or calling you a phobe, or calling you a bot, and on. This allows people to go out to try to take you down, and yeah, luckily there are people out there trying to stop this too. So as far as this document is concerned as well, we find out about this not because of AH, but because somebody is trying to stop this. So this document we're looking at here, it relates to request for formal discovery conference. We have a deadline on that for the court to decide on requests. That will be October 12th, 2020. And the deadline for the court to hold an informal discovery conference would be October 20th, 2020. Now here, these are the guidelines asking for a request for a formal discovery conference. Briefly describe the nature of the discovery dispute, including the facts and legal arguments at issue. For an answer to request for informal discovery conference, briefly describe why the court should deny the requested discovery, including the facts and legal arguments at issue. Now look at this. You need to pay close attention to everything in it, trying to see what they're doing here. So this request relates to the second of 2 subpoenas recently issued by defendant AH to Twitter. So this has been filed with Twitter, in which she seeks a variety of information regarding well over 200 different Twitter screen names, including Adam Waldman, the screen name of one of Mr. Depp's attorneys, Adam Waldman. The subpoena seeks extensive information such as, and look at what it's asking for here, the IP address from which the account is registered, any and all IP addresses from which account logged in, any and all IP address from which the account tweeted messages, if the account was ever suspended, the reason given for each suspension, and a list of all source information for tweeted messages from this account, e.g. Twitter for Android, Twitter for iPhone, etc. The information sought appears to be more of a dubious, no relevance, and overboard, and encompasses private information related to more than 200 200 potential third-party users. Now, in reviewing Twitter's guidelines, you start to understand something, that this was the long play. This was something that was planned the whole time. always was going after folks like you. In fact, if you go through here, you start to understand that, hey, certain words she describes as your behavior, there was an intent behind them. Now, you see all of this made manifest in counterclaims by AH. And another thing that she does is she turns hundreds of people into a singularity in order to make a subpoena like this not seem to be overreach. I want to read you a little bit of this here. So all of this builds off of the idea that, of course, Johnny Depp has been targeting AH and AH's career, and to accomplish this task, he, individually and through his representatives and agents in Virginia, have created, coordinated, controlled, and or manipulated social media accounts created specifically for the purposes of targeting AH, computer-controlled social media accounts, and or groups of inauthentic accounts controlled by a single agent to amplify content misleadingly. Now, as far as this next portion is concerned, I want to approach this out of sequence, at least as far as this document is concerned. First, I want to note the accounts that they name. They give you direct ones here. They give you FOD, net, and they give you My Grindelwald. Then they note this. In total, there are at least dozens, if not hundreds, of inauthentic accounts that impugn AH while praising Adam Waldman. This messaging further demonstrates the origins of Mr. Depp's unlawful campaign and demonstrates that these inauthentic accounts are actively coordinating content to manipulate the Twitter platform and avoid detection. Then they give you quite a few other examples as well, and I'm glad that they do this because this is going to fly in the face of their claim. Why? Because they say that they can tell that these accounts, they're ones that you need to keep an eye on because of specific patterns that they utilize. Quote, these accounts exhibit behavior which includes, but is not limited to the following. They have high tweet to retweet ratios in numbers implausible for authentic human users. They are created, attack AH, and then are set to inactive to avoid suspension. They utilize common language, patterns, and timing indicating broad coordination. They often offer little or no personal information, suggesting computer control or a single individual controlling more than one account at a time. And they republicize the content of one another at rates and consistencies that belie authentic human control. So I'm going to take a few examples that AH noted, and I'm going to show you how much they tweet, in order to break down these claims, because they can't be humans because of their prolific tweeting activity. So in order to make this next point, I want to showcase the volume that is being tweeted at. Some people are prolific tweeters, by the way, and the way that you can pull up this information is simple. You can see My Grindelwald, that was noted there. You can see their @ here. And the site Social Blade will showcase how much a person tweets. In this case, they are a prolific tweeter, but they're only given a grade of B-, meaning there are plenty of other people that tweet way, way more than them. Now, you can see their daily averages. Sometimes, they'll tweet like 80 or 90 times a day. Sometimes they'll only tweet down to 36, and sometimes they'll spike all the way to a little over 200. That gives them a daily average of 123 tweets. Now remember, My Grindelwald was supposedly doing 50% of posting about Johnny Depp and AH, and they also named this account as well, IFOD_net. So here is their information on Social Blade, and oh my gosh, another B-. B is for bot. Now, looking at this, though, if you were using a program, you wouldn't have numbers that jump from one person going from 100 to, say, 200, and having the other one posting at 13, 10, 2, 15, 11, for a daily average of only 8 tweets a day. Now, I don't want to go through every user this way, but I'll give you some more examples quickly. Here you can see this person's @ And as far as their data is concerned, oh my gosh, another B- is for bot. And well, their numbers, yeah, they're not consistent with the others either, are they? We have lows of 5, we have highs of 32, daily averages of only 10 posts. So here is another account that is named I am not a bot. Sure you're not. Sure you're not, you monster. Now here is their social blade information, C+ to throw us all off. And if you look at their numbers, well, they have a +3 all the way up to +57. So they don't have any consistency on their days for a daily average of 14. So the statistics that AH and her team are trying to weaponize is the fact that the average Twitter user, they normally tweet between 4 to 5 times a month, and that's consistent from around 2009 to 2020. The problem with that is, number one, it includes all types, and number two, it excludes the idea of variety. Here, for example, are the most prolific Twitter users on the platform. And look at how many tweets that they put out. This person, by the way, you can see this talked about here. They are a real person from Japan. So we're not talking about a bot that has posted 37.8 million tweets. That's right, 37.8 million. Now, as far as the top 10 average tweets per day, I mean, look at these prolific numbers. And some of these are users, some of these are bots, but it gives you an idea of what people do on the platform, variety and number-wise. 2,268, that's the top runner. You have 3 of these over 1,000. And if you go down to the top 10, you have 529 tweets per day. Now, as far as my experience with individual users are concerned, this guy here, who's an anti-Vic Mignogna lawyer, he posted a record of 850 times one day. That's right, 850 times. I saw those numbers myself, and this guy would very routinely break 200 and 300 posts a day. Additionally, account creation needs to be taken into account. My Grindelwald, for example, they joined on December 2015, and I'm going to say, unless you hear in the background because these people have gone back to terminate John Connor, well then I'm thinking that maybe, just maybe, that it doesn't fit into that narrative. That's the same thing with this account that was created in August of 2009. They would have been not only playing the long game, I mean, they would have been playing the decade plus long game in order to accomplish what's being discussed. And that's just the proverbial tip of the iceberg when it comes to problems associated with this narrative. Make no mistake, though, that's all it is, a narrative, and it's meant to silence. And a lot of people, they felt, scared by this at first. I saw 3 accounts that were noted no longer functioning because people have walked away. I've seen people flagged down because of this, because of mass flagging campaigns. It's absolutely insane. And I wonder if people stop getting intimidated and start getting angry, what kind of legal recourse there is for this. I mean, after all, you're not public figures. You're not limited public figures. You're people that are using Twitter, and you're using it under the auspices of anonymity. Just because you have specific opinions does not entitle AH to your names or AH to your IP addresses. That is absolutely crazy. But anyway, let me know what you think about this stuff. And as always, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you showing up. You empower these endeavors. And if this person comes after any of you singularly, you have a friend in that umbrella guy, we will get you crowdfunded a defense because this will not fly. If you want to help out the channel too, there are links in the description. We have our comic book, for example. Definitely check that out. We could use your help. And again, appreciate the heck out of you folks and see you soon.